Here's something that will mess with your head a little. A 4-year-old can tell you the sky is blue, count to 10, and hold a full conversation, but if you pour their juice from a short, wide glass into a tall, thin glass right in front of them, they will look you dead in the eyes and tell you the tall glass has more juice, even though they just watched you pour it. And here's the part that gets me: they're not wrong. They're not confused. Their brain is literally working exactly the way it's supposed to. But here's what nobody tells you: some of those same patterns don't fully disappear in adults. You've probably seen it: the person who gets genuinely frustrated when someone else doesn't see something they consider obviously true. Who can't understand how a reasonable person could possibly look at the same situation and reach a different conclusion. Who argues harder instead of asking why the other person sees it differently. There's a name for that. And it starts in childhood. Jean Piaget spent decades watching children think. And what he found wasn't just interesting, it was revolutionary. He discovered that children don't just learn more as they grow up. Their entire operating system changes. The way they process reality, completely different software at every stage. And here's why that matters to you, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or just someone who's ever been frustrated trying to reason with a child and felt like you were speaking two completely different languages. You were. Literally. Because you were. Once you understand which stage a child is in, their behavior stops being baffling and starts making perfect sense. And here's the quiet bonus: you're going to start recognizing these patterns in adults too. Including, maybe, yourself. That shift changes everything. Today we're breaking down Piaget's theory of cognitive development. 4 stages. And I want to be specific about what that means, because stages of development sounds like a chart on a pediatrician's wall. What it actually is a map of how a human mind constructs its own reality. Piece by piece. From scratch. Understanding these 4 stages doesn't just explain children. It explains every conversation that ever went sideways. Every moment someone looked at the same situation as you and reached a completely different conclusion. Every time you thought you were being perfectly reasonable and the other person thought the exact same thing. That's not a philosophy lecture. It's in here. Let's go. Who is Jean Piaget? Quick context, because the man behind this theory is actually worth knowing. Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist, born in 1896. His approach was different from almost every other scientist of his era. He didn't study children from a distance. He sat with them. He played with them. He asked them strange questions and watched how they reasoned through the answers. He took notes on his own 3 kids from the time they were babies, which is either brilliant or the most intense parenting style in history, but it worked. What he kept noticing was this: children are not just adults with less information. Their logic is different. Their reality is different. A 5-year-old isn't reasoning badly, they're reasoning correctly for where their brain currently is. He called this process cognitive development, the development of how we think, reason, and make sense of the world. And he mapped it into 4 distinct stages. But before those stages, there are 2 quick concepts that explain the engine running underneath all of them. Key concepts: schemas, assimilation, accommodation. Remember that juice glass from the beginning? The child who insists the tall glass has more even after watching the pour? Here's what's actually happening underneath that moment, and it comes down to one word: schemas. A schema is a mental framework, a file your brain uses to organize information. The child in that experiment has a schema for a mount that was built entirely around height. In their experience so far, more height has almost always meant more stuff. Taller stack of blocks, more blocks. Taller person, bigger person. The schema works. Until it doesn't. When new information fits an existing schema, that's called assimilation. Easy. No rewiring. The world confirms what the brain already thinks. But when something doesn't fit, when the tall glass turns out to have the same juice, or the cat doesn't bark like every other four-legged animal, the brain has to rebuild the framework. That's accommodation. Update the file. Create a new one. This push and pull is the engine under every single stage of development. The brain meets something it can't explain with what it currently knows, and it upgrades itself. Stage 1, Sensorimotor Stage, birth to 2 years. Stage 1 covers birth to about age 2. And at this stage, a baby's entire understanding of reality is built from one thing: direct physical experience. Touch. Sight. Sound. Taste. Movement. That's it. No words yet. No abstract ideas. No symbols. Just sensation. A baby reaches for a rattle. Puts it in their mouth. Shakes it, drops it, reaches again. That's not random. That is a brain actively building its understanding of physics through a toy. Weight. Texture. Cause and effect. All of it, filed and stored. Now the moment that defines this entire stage. Object permanence. Object permanence is the understanding that things continue to exist even when you can't see them. You know this so deeply it feels like common sense. Of course, the rattle still exists when someone puts it behind their back. But babies under about 8 months? They have no such understanding. None. Hide a toy under a blanket in front of a 5-month-old, they stop looking. Their brain has not yet built the concept that things persist when they leave perception. Out of sight is genuinely, literally, out of existence for them. Around 8 to 12 months, something shifts. They start lifting the blanket. Searching. Knowing. The object is somewhere even if they can't see it. That is one of the first major rewrites of how a human being experiences reality. Small moment. Enormous leap. By age 2, children are starting to use words as symbols: ball, more, mine. That shift from pure sensation to representation is the bridge to stage 2, where the personality is about to absolutely explode. Stage 2, Preoperational Stage, ages 2 to 7. This is the stage that explains basically every "why is my kid like this" moment parents have ever had. Language is developing fast. Imagination is everywhere. The child is drawing, pretending, narrating their own life out loud. They hand you a crayon drawing of your face, circular head, for limbs coming directly from the neck with the energy of someone presenting a masterpiece. And honestly, for where their brain is, it kind of is. But the logical scaffolding hasn't been built yet. And that shows up in 3 very specific ways. Egocentrism, and this is important to say clearly, does not mean selfish. It means children at this age are neurologically unable to take another person's perspective. The brain hasn't built that capacity yet. Piaget demonstrated this with the 3 mountains task. He'd show a child a 3D model of 3 mountains from one angle, then ask, "What does the person sitting across from you see?" Almost every preoperational child describes their own view. Not because they're being difficult. Because the concept that someone else's vantage point is different from mine doesn't exist for them yet. Here's the uncomfortable version of that. If you've ever walked away from an argument thinking, how can they possibly not see this? It's so obvious. That's not clarity. That's egocentrism reactivated. The brain retreating to the three mountains problem, certain that what you see is what everyone should see. It's not a maturity gap. It's a stage. And it doesn't fully disappear just because you turn 30. Sent ration back to the juice glass. Children at this age can focus on one feature of a situation at a time. The tall glass reads as more because tall is the only variable they're tracking. They can't simultaneously hold height and width in mind. So tall wins. Every time. Not stubbornness. Not confusion. Sent ration. Animism, the belief that inanimate objects have feelings and intentions. The chair was mean for being in the way. The stuffed bear is lonely when they go to school. The cloud looks sad. This isn't a misunderstanding, it's a completely normal phase of symbolic thinking as the brain learns to assign meaning. And it's one of the most genuinely charming things about this age. Now, Stage 3 is when the logic finally shows up, but with one very specific ceiling still in place. Stage 3, concrete operational stage, ages 7 to 11. Stage 3, ages 7 to 11. And this is the stage where kids start feeling actually reasonable to interact with. Because suddenly, they kind of are. Logical thinking has arrived. Pour that juice in front of a 9-year-old and they look at you like you're the strange one. It's the same amount, you just moved it. Obvious. Done. Piaget called this conservation, understanding that quantity doesn't change based on appearance. Same juice, different glass, same amount. They've also developed reversibility, the ability to mentally undo a process. They can run math backward. They can retrace steps. They understand that actions can be undone. Classification, sorting objects into multiple overlapping categories simultaneously. By color and size and type, all at once. Seriation, ordering things along a spectrum. Tallest to shortest. Oldest to newest. Loudest to quietest. But here's the ceiling. Abstract logic. If you put 3 people in a room and say Susan is taller than Maria, Maria is taller than Amy, who's shortest? Easy. Done. They can see it. But remove the people, give them just the names and the words? Much harder. Their logic needs something real to grip. Hypotheticals without visual anchors still mostly don't compute. Stage 4 is where that ceiling finally lifts. And the caveat that comes with it is the one that'll stick with you longest. Stage 4, formal operational stage, ages 12 and up. This is when the adult mind starts coming fully online. Abstract reasoning is now accessible. Hypotheticals work. Symbols work. You don't need to see the thing to think about the thing. You know that teenager who suddenly starts arguing at the dinner table, not just "I don't want to do chores," but "Why do we even have chores? Who decided that was my responsibility? What is the philosophical basis for this rule?" That's not attitude. That's a brain that just unlocked the ability to question systems. To reason about things that don't exist yet. To imagine alternatives. The same kid who accepted "because I said so" for years now needs the architecture of the rule. Because for the first time, their brain is capable of demanding it. They can now solve for X in algebra, a symbol standing in for something unknown. Reason through ethical dilemmas without a concrete answer. Think scientifically, form a hypothesis, isolate variables, test systematically. Imagine futures that don't exist and reason backward from them. Piaget believed this was the peak of human cognitive development. But here's the part that stuck with me most, and I'll be honest, it was slightly uncomfortable to sit with. Researchers who came after Piaget found something humbling: not everyone fully reaches formal operational thinking. And more surprisingly, people who have reached it don't always use it. In areas that are unfamiliar, emotionally charged, or deeply personal, even cognitively sophisticated adults will default back to earlier patterns. Which means this: the version of yourself that's most logical, most empathetic, most capable of abstract thought, that version shows up selectively. Under pressure, real pressure, in the conversations that matter most, a lot of us regress. Not to stupidity. To an earlier stage. One that felt safe once. I think about that in arguments I'm not proud of. Moments where I was so certain I was right that I couldn't actually hear the other person. Where I was so emotionally inside something that I couldn't think outside it. That's not a bad day. That's a stage. And knowing what to call it, that's the first step toward catching it. This isn't a model just for children. It's a mirror. The question isn't only what stage is this child in? The question, the one worth sitting with, is which stage am I operating from right now? In this conversation. In this argument. In this decision. Here's what I'm genuinely curious about. Think of a child in your life, your kid, a sibling, a student, a niece or nephew. Or think of yourself at a specific age. Which stage do you recognize? What's the moment that makes it obvious? Drop it in the comments. I read them and I reply when I can, and honestly, I learn things from these threads. What you notice in the kids around you is often more interesting than anything in a textbook. Here's what I want you to carry out of this. Children are not being difficult. They are not being irrational. They are not stubborn or confused or too much. They are running a version of reality that is exactly right for where their brain currently is. Every single stage is doing precisely what it should be doing. When a 4-year-old insists the tall glass has more juice, their logic is internally consistent. It makes sense with the brain they have at the age they are. Your job isn't to fix the reasoning. It's to understand where they are and meet them there. That's what Piaget gave us. Not a grading rubric. A map. And here's what I want you to hear about yourself: the fact that you're here, learning this, thinking carefully about what goes on inside a child's mind, means you're already showing up differently than most people do. You see children differently now than you did 15 minutes ago. And if you caught yourself in a few of those descriptions, the egocentrism, the scent ration, the concrete thinking in places you didn't expect, that's not a flaw. That's just knowing yourself better than you did before. The next time someone feels completely unreasonable to you, ask yourself honestly, are they immature? Or are they just operating from a different stage of reality than you are right now? You might be surprised which answer comes back. If this gave you something, hit the like button. It helps this reach other parents and teachers and people who care about understanding how minds work. And if you want more of this, subscribe and hit the bell. New video every week. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one.